There are a Russian base in my village, and from my village they're gonna go here on Kyiv to capture it. Yeah, it's really scary and terrifying. I am called to my parents. They really scared. There's Russians in our village, enemies. There's tanks, heavy vehicle. I hope that they will be fine.
Over 24 hours, I don't know where they are. My son, who's three and a half years old here in London, his godfather is in the territorial defense unit. What they do is they protect Kiev, they protect us from invasion.
Take your time.
My family is also near Sumy region, where our army is holding the line. Our army and our territorial defense units and our president are doing an incredible job. Russia planned a blitzkrieg. They wanted to take Kiev and show the whole world and all of the Russians that they are freeing Russian-speaking Ukrainians. But they failed. They failed miserably. Of course, our army is suffering huge losses, but we are fighting back. We are fighting back, and we are resisting, and we will prevail. I will not give you the official data of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine of how many airplanes of the Russian aviation were downed and how many tanks were burned and how many Russian soldiers were killed. That you can look up yourself. But what I can say is that there are two ways in which the world can help Ukraine right now. This is obvious that NATO troops will not be there because this is a direct war with Russia of nuclear powers. This is not what is at the table at the moment. What can work, I mean, it is clear that the sanctions introduced so far have not worked. They were too late, they were too toothless, and Putin doesn't care. And sanctions against Putin personally, how are they going to stop him? Has he been planning to travel to the United States? Has he been planning to travel to the UK? I mean...
Mr. Jurich, are you taking up arms?
Yes. I'm currently talking to you with my AK-74 on my lap. So.
And what are you intending?
And the crates behind me.
What are you intending to do with that then?
I told you I'm going south of Kiev to try and I have been joining in with Kiev's forces to the days that passed us by, and tomorrow I'll be driving south of Kiev and joining in with some team members who are setting up defenses there to try and not let the Russians encircle Kiev. And then again, I'll be moving forward to my teammates who are manning territorial defense in the west, on the western part of Kiev, so not to allow Russians to encircle the city.
On a personal level, what does that mean to you to have that in your hands?
That means that everything is at stake here. I'm no soldier. I don't have that much experience with the gun. But again, when you are fighting for your life, you learn pretty quick. The reality is that Ukraine doesn't have a choice if it wants to survive as a state. Russia wants to destroy us, and we, Ukrainians, are not going to let that happen. I was born independent Ukraine. I shall die independent Ukraine.
We're in Dnipro. It's a large industrial city in eastern Ukraine, and we are going to give you a glimpse of the Ukrainian war effort, but not in the way perhaps you were thinking originally. There are hundreds and hundreds of people here in Dnipro who have come to the center of town, and they are in the process here in this section of making Molotov cocktails. You see them, they're taking styrofoam, they've sort of grated the styrofoam, and they're now putting it into the bottles. The styrofoam works to make the Molotov cocktail sticky, to help it stick to vehicles, to other targets as well. You can see them grating it, and they're making it according to a recipe that has been distributed by the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense. Really quite extraordinary. You see there's so many people here doing this. All men between the ages of 18 and 60 have been mobilized. They're not allowed to leave the country. Many people are expected to fight. And I think what this shows is that many people in this country are willing to fight. It's not just people signing up to fight, though. Just in the background, you can see people bringing in supplies, food, water, blankets, sleeping bags, water, anything they think that will help the army. Also IDPs as well, bringing in supplies for IDPs. And this really is the whole community in action, supporting each other. A lot of people here feel like they have to do something, they want to do something. And I think it's one of the interesting things is that many of the people in this community are Russian speakers. They are ethnic Russians. But there is very, very little support for the Russian invasion, for Vladimir Putin. In fact, we have to be careful because we don't want people to swear. There are various chants that people will use about Vladimir Putin. There's very, very deep feeling here. People are really angry about what is happening. I think one of the things that is absolutely fascinating is that they're willing to do this. The people are so united. They are facing one of the world's mightiest militaries. One of the world's strongest, most mighty military forces, and they have made inroads into this country. They are advancing, and people here are willing to fight.
Putin is the aggressor. Putin chose this war, and now he and his country will bear the consequences. Our forces are not and will not be engaged in the conflict with Russia in Ukraine. Our forces are not going to Europe to fight in Ukraine, but to defend our NATO allies and reassure those allies in the East. This was never about a genuine security concerns on their part. It was always about naked aggression, about Putin's desire for empire by any means necessary, by bullying Russia's neighbors through coercion and corruption, by changing borders by force, and ultimately by choosing a war without a cause. He has much larger ambitions in Ukraine. He wants to, in fact, reestablish the former Soviet Union. That's what this is about.
Мною принято решение о проведении специальной военной операции. Кто бы ни пытался помешать нам, а тем более создать угрозы для нашей страны, для нашего народа, должны знать, что ответ России будет незамедлительным и приведет вас к таким последствиям, с которыми вы в своей истории еще никогда не сталкивались. Мы готовы к любому развитию событий.
Well, it just shows how quickly things can change here. We were outside filming, really calm. There had been shells that had come in this morning, but again, it had gone quiet. Everything felt very, very normal, but we've just had to come in here to take cover because there's been incoming mortar fire.
This man's putting his wife and daughter on the train to safety before he goes back in the army.
Я раніше воював, військово підготовлений. Я чую свою зобов'язаність просто воювати. Ну, подальше, як країна прикаже.
my feet, you got me, no. Anytime I see you, let me know. But the plan and see, just let me go. I'm on my knees, but I'm begging, 'cause I don't wanna lose you.
Our forces are not and will not be engaged in the conflict with Russia in Ukraine. Our forces are not going to Europe to fight in Ukraine, but to defend our NATO allies and reassure those allies in the East. As I made crystal clear, the United States will defend every inch of NATO territory with the full force of American power.